Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to introduce myself and who Biotech XYZ is. So, my name is Anushka Patrikar. I'm the co-president of Biotech XYZ. And Biotech XYZ is a 501(c)(3) certified nonprofit organization. We were founded in fall 2022 by executive MBA students at Cornell Johnson. It now brings together students, research trainees, academic and industry professionals in the New York City area together. We organize various virtual and in-person event topics in and around uh, biotechnology. And our next event is a collaborative event with Scalpels and Spreadsheets, Health Tech Founder plus MBA Mixer on June 3rd during the New York Tech Week. And after that, we'll be moving along with a career fair for students, researchers, PhDs, postdocs, as well as industry professionals at NYU Langone Health on August 28th. So please follow us on our socials to stay in touch. And today we are here to deep dive into career pathways to explore after your bachelor's. Before we begin, there are a couple of housekeeping notes. We have a Q&A in the end, but please feel free to drop any questions in chat and our speakers can take a look at them throughout the event. Um, Now I would like to introduce our moderator, Mainav Purohit. He is the one who's been organizing everything. So thank you so much for doing that. He's a master's student pursuing biotechnology management and entrepreneurship at Yeshiva University and Katz School of Science and Health. Mainav, if you want to take over and introduce our speakers.
Thank you so much, Anushka, for the introduction. I think so. We have a great panel here representing different themes in biotech and life sciences, starting with Adam Ligeralde. He's a senior ÄKTA sales specialist at Cytiva, where he supports scientists, biopharma organizations, in optimizing protein purification, downstream processing, and chromatography, and has many workflows across academia, biotech, and CDMOs. He has expertise in protein purification, scientific workflows, biotech commercialization, and sales enablement. And Adam is also active in technical mentorship, STEM outreach, and career development initiatives, supporting the next generation of life sciences professionals. We are glad to have you, Adam. Thank you so much. We have Sheridan. She's the co-president at Biotech XYZ, where she leads the team of people like us, and she helps in organizing fairs. We have panel events, networking events, connecting scientists and clinicians and people across the NYC life science community. She also focuses on building partnerships and creating opportunities for trainees and helping in exploring paths that are within and beyond academia. She is also a PhD candidate at NYU, at Cornell and MSK, and MSK Cancer Center in the lab of Dr. David Scheinberg, where she specifics in TCR mimic cancer therapeutics. Sarah, you can add if I missed out on anything. And we also have Tanay. Tanay Mehta is a biotech equity research associate at Rodman and Renshaw, where he covers public biotech. He has experience across equity research, public and private markets, and business development through internships at Life Science Capital, Affinity Assets, Cedar Holdings, and Epigenome Technologies. He holds a bachelor's in biomedical engineering from Rutgers University and a master's in biotech management and entrepreneurship from Yeshiva University. So, thank you so much, guys, for doing this, and really excited to have everyone here and looking forward to it. I think so. We can begin with a few questions to just warm up the audience about what your day to day is and what you guys do, so everyone can know more about you guys. So, yeah, anyone can start about what your role is and how your day to day is like. Adam, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. And thank you for all the attendees that are wanting to listen to what we have to say. So, my particular day as a sales rep is not typical at all. It's always different every day, every week, and every month. And that's what I like about it. I don't necessarily like too much routine. But that's the thing about being a sales rep or being somebody in the field. You need to wake up every day with the fire in your belly and to self-manage. So my day this week, other than Memorial Day weekend, Monday, Tuesday was going to the tri-institutional area of Cornell, Memorial Sloan Kettering, and Rockefeller University, and following up with labs and researchers where I have sold capital equipment to and train them on their chromatography because having my technical background in addition to my sales experience and everything. And then Wednesday was the New York area cryo-EM meeting where more than 150 people came. So we did some presentations. We had a vendor show. We promoted some of our products and resources and solutions. And then yesterday was all catch up. It was all in my home office where you see me right now. Emails, quotes, troubleshooting. And then today is here. So never a dull moment.
That's really exciting. Thank you so much for shedding light on how your routine is. Sarah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Mainav. And to echo what Adam said, I really appreciate the opportunity and thank you all for coming here today virtually. So I would also say that the day-to-day differs quite a bit for me. So I'm a PhD student, ending my third year, entering my fourth year, but also that's changed depending on the year that I'm in my program. So my first year in my program, I was mostly taking classes and doing my coursework, but I was also rotating and basically trying out different labs to see what I wanted to do for my thesis. And so part of the day I was going to my classes, and then for the rest of the day, I was also going into the laboratory and getting to know the members of the laboratory, experiencing the culture, getting to know the mentor that I might have, and of course, doing the science as well. So that was basically my first year. And then the second year of my program, I had decided to join a lab. And so I could then start to pursue my thesis and also work toward my qualifying exam, which is essentially an exam in my program to demonstrate that you understand your thesis and test that thesis to make sure that it makes sense and is feasible within the time frame of a PhD. And so after that qualifying exam in my second year, then I could pursue that thesis and begin to perform experiments and do laboratory work in order to gain the data that I would need to publish a paper and pursue that thesis. So it really depends on the year that you're in. But also at the same time, as a third year, I'm also trying to apply for grants. I'm also taking other courses that I'm interested in on the side. I'm looking at internships, I'm doing club work. And so it can really become an experience where you get to customize and see what you're interested in and what works best for you. But there is a lot of self-management and a lot of self-advocacy in the PhD program that I can get into as well. But there really is a lot of diversity, and it depends a lot on which year you're in the program.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah, for joining. And Tanay, go ahead. What about you?
Yes, piggybacking off of what Sarah and Adam said, thank you so much for hosting us. Looking forward to the conversation and how it sort of progresses. I think for me, every day, like the week, it's more or less the same throughout, except that it's same and different at the same time because we work with a lot of companies, some of which we cover, some of which we don't cover. And these companies that cover and publish research on, they have a lot of competitors that are working on similar drugs or similar indications. And they put out a lot of news materials that sort of have a downstream effect on the companies that we do cover, and in their prizes. So day normally looks like getting up and then sort of tracking all of our news flow, going through some of the newsletters that I follow just to see what's up with the market, if there's any new drug approvals or if there's any new data readouts that these companies might have had, and if there was any effect of that on any of our coverage companies. And then it's more or less that throughout the day, just working on that. If there's something that we like, then we sort of do get a bit more deeper into the diligence process there. And apart from that, it's also a lot of just doing like maintenance work on the companies that we do cover. Checking in with the management, see if they're anticipating anything. It's and if we're publishing or starting or initiating coverage on a new company, then sort of working on that. Putting together the report. The due diligence process for that includes usually making a financial model, and bringing together a lot of scientific publications so that we can sharpen our thesis and sort of form a thesis actually. So that's about it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, one thing for everyone who's attending, that as you guys now have an idea about everyone's backgrounds, feel free to start writing your questions. And while I'm chatting with all the panelists, I request the speakers that you guys can also like reply to the questions in the chat box. Yeah, going forward, I have an interesting question for everyone. So, what do you like the most about your current role, and what is one thing that you don't like it that much or you find difficult about? I think we'll start with Sarah because she's doing a PhD, so she might have some things to say.
You're right, I do. So I think my favorite thing about the PhD program is probably also the most challenging thing that I find about the PhD program, which is that it tends to be less structured than other kinds of programs. So what I mean by that is that I basically determine what my day looks like. I determine what experiments I'm going to do. I determine what my week is going to look like. I plan ahead. I create timelines. And so it's really up to me to figure out a path to my goals. And I can work with my mentors and my collaborators and colleagues to figure out what would be best and seek advice. But every day it basically requires a lot of motivation to push through, for example, failed experiments, navigating different pathways, and learning from those experiments to see what you should do next. And so, yeah, I would say generally there's less structure, and so that requires me to drive myself, and figure out what's next. But at the same time, it can be really nice because I can determine what time I come in during the day, what time I leave during the day, if I want to take coursework on the side, what else I'd like to learn. And so my path becomes very specialized and catered to my exact interests. And I really enjoy that because there was coursework, for example, in my undergraduate that I wasn't really interested in, but I know I had to take because it was a requirement. And there are some required courses in the PhD program, but now I can actually choose to take courses that are highly, interesting and relevant to what I'd like to pursue. Um, and that allows me to really set up the kind of career path that I'd like to have. And so I don't feel like I'm wasting time. I feel like all of my time is used the way that I would like to. And if I am wasting time, that's also on me, and that's my choice, and how I'm choosing to spend it. So the lack of structure, I think, is in particular unique to a PhD program compared to others, and that can be both a blessing and a curse.
Some thanks, Adam. What do you think?
Um, I echo Sarah. I do enjoy the flexibility just because I don't like uh, going grocery shopping on the weekend with a lot of people. So I do it on a Tuesday afternoon when there's less people. But really, the challenges that you were asking, and what do I like, what I don't like, the biggest thing that I love is really interacting with people. And that was
I think there's a network issue for Adam.
Yeah, I think Tanay, you can
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
continue.
Yes, Gia. So, sort of where we left Adam. The part that I love the most is interacting with a lot of people from different backgrounds, right? Someone's like when we speak to a company, there's usually a CEO or a CFO or a CEO, and they all have different sorts of backgrounds. Someone's like a PhD, MD, and is now the head of this company. Someone has been all throughout like a finance professional who's helped multiple companies raise a lot of money. And that's on the external side. And on the internal side also, like people on my team that we speak with or interact with or work with closely, all of them comes from different sorts of backgrounds, PhDs, MDs, MBAs. So I think that sort of widens your horizon and perspective into thinking about the same thing from a different angle, which I appreciate. And I think I wouldn't call this something that I hate. I think I would just call this sort of like a steep learning curve or a challenge. I think when you're talking to all these different companies who are working in different, areas, I think sort of familiarizing myself and bringing myself up to speed on what the company is doing or what their technology is or what their indication is. I think that I would say is a bit of a learning curve, not necessarily something I hate, because I don't hate it. And I think the more you do it, the more better you get. And I think eventually it helps you in the long run, because then you can sort of connect patterns that, all right, oh, this company's doing this company's doing this is something common between them. So I think this pattern recognition wise, I think it helps. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Glad to have you back. I hope so.
The wonders of
I hope,
technology.
yeah.
Sorry about that. But as I was saying, it really is something that I grew up with in terms of hospitality. And really, when I went into sales from a technical background, is I did not want to be a used car salesman type of sales rep. And sorry if there's any used car salesmen or your relatives are out there, but the stereotypical, because sales is about helping. Sales is about um, uh, making sure that they have the right resources, they have the right tools, and that's really where I frame my mind. What I don't like about my job is really the day-to-day grind of administrative stuff. So, but the good thing is that AI is helping me do a lot of those repetitive stuff. Unfortunately, it's still hallucinating, so you still have to proofread. But yeah, between helping and the administrative, it's a balance. So thank you.
Awesome, thanks. I think, Adam, I think that's a great segue to talk more about your role. So my first question for you is actually like, how did you actually go from doing research to having a more current sales focused role at Cytiva, and how did the transition look like for you?
Uh, Transition was very reflective. As I said, my PI recognized that in me. He says, Adam, this is not a reflection on you. You know how to do the science. You're doing well, but it seemed like your heart was not into it. And therefore, um, uh, he was one of the best mentors that I had, where he says, Adam, take 3 months off for the summer and come back. Let me know. I will support you in anything that you do. So I actually went out to Abiquiu, New Mexico to become a ranch hand for 3 months, did a lot of reflection, and I came back saying, yeah, I need to finish whatever I have. Graduate, and he recommended me to some people in industry. And that's how I got from the lab bench into industry as a tech support person. So I was going 9 to 5 into a job, but then it transitioned from there to a field application scientist helping out the sales reps in the field. And then it just progressively went into sales just because you go from bench, industry, and then you get your foot in the door to, but still keeping your technical background, helping out the sales in the commercial field. And then now I am in sales, but also with a technical background. So you get the best of both worlds when you're talking to other PhDs and PIs, where you do get some credibility. So that was my path, but I always tell people, who are you? What do you want? And it doesn't matter what you end up with, just because not everything is linear. If you if you don't like what you have, that you end up with, try again. Failure is never failure as long as you learn from it and you just try again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that those are really inspiring words for lots of undergrads that we have in the panel and something to ponder about. And so that's what my next question brings to, as we have a panel of young students. So for students who enjoy science but aren't sure about staying at the bench, what skills or experiences would you suggest so that they can start building if they are interested in a role that is similar to yours or something that's parallel to research, but not, let's say, a day-to-day bench work sort of a role?
Who is that directed to?
To you.
Oh, all right. So repeat the question just because it was I didn't know who you were directing it to.
Oh, so sorry about that. I can repeat it. So my question was, so for students who enjoy science or are currently in the background of life sciences or biomedical sciences, but aren't sure about staying in the bench side of work or academia, what skills or experiences would you suggest they start building if they are interested in a role like yours, which is like in the life sciences, but it's kind of a parallel role?
All right. So it that is actually a very near and dear to my heart, just because I do want to continue with my technical background. However, it does not fit a traditional career in terms of going into the bench. So therefore, when I did my reflection, when I did look deep inside, I basically said what came about is two things. What are the human skills, the soft skills that you could develop, like critical thinking, creativity, entrepreneurship, things like that? But then, secondly, layer it on what transferable skills, whether hard skills or soft skills, can you do? Because let's say for me, I went into sales because sales is sales wherever you go. And all of us are sales reps, no matter what you think, because when we're trying to get people to see our perspective and to see if we could influence them into thinking and going our way, we're all sales. We're negotiating. So think of those things, the soft and human skills that you have, not necessarily the hard technical skills, but also the transferable skills. What can you do with that uh, that no one can take away from you and you've developed and you could take into a different career, a different direction? But it really depends on what you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm sure the students must have really got a good take home from that. Another question I had for you is, as people mention AI and how like students can use generative AI to help themselves and also building their careers from scratch. So do you feel that like undergrads or recent graduates, how they can leverage AI in, let's say, building a particular skill or building their profile or getting some help with their transferable skills that can help them land such roles?
Absolutely. AI is wonderful, but also we need to have some guardrails. So, because of the hallucinations that I was talking about. And when people are afraid of AI, it's more because they may have not developed the skills that AI will replace. However, AI is supposed to accelerate, augment, and enhance uh, your skills. So if you have developed those skills or you have those natural abilities, it's supposed to accelerate, enhance, and augment them. So, uh, so therefore, you could leverage it that way. It's supposed to take away the mundane, routine things, so you could focus more on the higher level skills, whether it is the hard skills or whether it is the soft skills, like critical thinking. You still need to proofread. You still need to review it before you publish it. So AI is a wonderful thing. You just need to know how to use it well, how to use it effectively.
That's great. Thank you so much, Adam, for your thoughts. We'll get back to you. I have a few more open panel questions as well. I'd like to talk more with Tanay. I think your field is has always been very exciting with finance, equity research, and with investing. So my first question is that what sparked your interest basically in combining biotech with finance, and how did that lead you to equity research? So, like, you can shed light about how your journey was, what interested you, and how did you land your current role?
Understood. Yep. So I was studying biomedical engineering at Rutgers. I would, like everyone on this call, I would attend a lot of sessions hosted by, pharma companies and medtech companies who would come onto our campus and have these workshops and, panel discussions, bringing our alumni or someone from the company. And I would talk to them, learn more about their role and what sort of, career options exist after like a degree in biomedical engineering. And all of that seemed sort of very one dimensional, and like at least the roles that they were discussing, and it didn't feel very aligned, and just so happened that all of my friends or people that I was always surrounded by were all going into banking and sales and trading and consulting, and whenever I would talk to them, what they did, like you said, right, sounds very exciting. Because if you see it every day or happen on a daily basis. So I was quite interested in that, and just so happened I was doing some more research on it and came across that oh hey, you can do the same thing, but consult biotech companies or consult pharma companies, or do equity research in the biotech sector, or advise biotech companies on what or to to help raise capital. So like all of these functions exist, but in a particular niche within biotech as well. And that's when I came across this field. And how I got into it, I think just networking, cold emailing. By the time I sort of had this epiphany, it was already a bit too late for me to recruit for like investment banking roles and consulting roles, because the recruiting goes back 1.5 years. So I was just at that point frantically networking and just sort of talking to anyone and everyone, and that led me to my first internship. And then from there on, same thing, networking, second, third, and then I started my master's with you, and same thing, networking after that as well. And I got like my current role through that.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, that brings me to the question about this transition, that were there any challenges moving into the finance or the investing side of biotech, both in terms of like breaking into the field or like technical learning. So also like the students can know these are the challenges and maybe they can prepare themselves better to face them.
I think there was a learning curve, sort of, because I was studying biomedical engineering, so sort of you have that technical grasp over things, and you have the ability to learn a lot of different things within a short span of time. So, and which is needed on the roll. So I think I already had that, but I didn't know how to put it in use, or how to apply it to this role. So I think just reading more about these technologies, or certain drugs mechanism of action, what the disease pathway looks like, where the drug sort of acts upstream, downstream. I think sort of learning more about that. I think that wasn't a challenge, but like again, it was a learning curve. And then I think apart from that, the other thing was obviously the finance side of it. Reading through all these financial filings, SEC filings, companies have like 10Ks and 10Qs that go out every couple months, and then at the end of the year, where all of the core of the core sort of breakdown of the company lies. So I think getting a bit more sort of familiarity with those documents, and then seeing sort of, I think there's a gap still, disconnect between the science and the finance. So how do you sort of connect that? And I think I'm still learning that. Like I think that's more, and the more you do this, like I said, pattern recognition. I think the more you do that, the more you get, adept at it. So I think, yeah, those were a couple things.
Yeah, great. And I think so. This question, I think, is more from thinking as a student, like which courses or skills, like maybe technical, finance, or like otherwise, do you think like undergrads and grads should focus on if they are interested in a field like yours and on the intersection of biotech and finance?
Yeah. Great question. I think on the biotech side, I would definitely say, I think just if you're in a biotech degree or a chemistry degree or anything scientific related, I think it's a very rigorous program, so you already have the ability to sort of like do this work. But I would recommend that you read some newsletters or sign up for newsletters just to sort of see what's going on in the space, what new drugs are coming out, what companies are reporting data from what indications. Sort of think about it that all right, I read these 3 4 5 newsletters going back 2 months, and one thing that stuck out to me, or one thing that was common all across, and that's like this big overarching theme for the year, or for the next 2 years or whatever. So I think that on the technical side, and then on the finance side, I would recommend signing up for any corporate finance class. I think a lot of like these like our program, as I'm sure Mainav, has like a corporate finance class in the core curriculum. And if you're an undergrad, you can always sign up for it as an elective. I did, alongside my engineering degree, I signed up for a business minor. It's only 5 classes, so it's not like you're going to learn everything and anything, but I think it pushes you sort of in the right direction. So I think, yeah, and there's a lot of courses online available. You can learn about biotech investing. There's a couple YouTube videos that do that. There's 2 very nice books called the Pharmagellan Guide to understanding clinical trials, and then sort of valuing companies. So yeah, I think those are all useful resources.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, also feel free to mention them in the chat box, so if our students want to look them up. I have one last question for you. So this is a pinpoint for the international community out there, and lots of students who have joined us might be planning their studies and their careers in the US. So as an international student, you must have navigated your journey through F1 visa. So what are your suggestions for students around navigating the challenges with visa, sponsorship, and what is something that can help them? Like any advice you have for that?
Uh, I think any advice that I might have, I think have like a very targeted search, because and I also start early, right? Like ever since I started my masters, I knew that all right, this is what I want to do, and I just need to extend my runway from my undergrad till after I complete my masters. So I knew what I want to do, and I'm just going to be very targeted in my outreach and in my efforts, because it's helpful to cast a wider net when you have a lot of time to maybe mess around and find out that okay, this is not for me and I can do this. But as an international student, you don't have that chance, or maybe you do, but I think it's not as big. So I would definitely recommend have a sort of targeted approach, and know in mind that all right, this is what I want to do, this is the approach that I'm going to take, and then just go at it. And like I'm sure everyone knows their graduation timelines, that I graduate, then I have this OPT and whatnot. So I think start a couple of months in advance so that you have some buffer, and sort of see what companies all this data is available online, like databases and everything. So see what companies are sponsoring, see what companies aren't sponsoring. If a company hasn't sponsored, or hasn't hired any international student from your school in the past, like 5 years, 10 years, then there's no point. Like in my honest opinion, there's no point going after it. If you see that all right, this company has had this history of hiring international students, and is friendly with the approach, and is familiar with what the process looks like, I would then recommend that focus more on those sort of companies, because you'll have your best chance there. And I think there's only so much so that you can do, because everything is depending on things or factors that are beyond your control. So I would just say whatever small portion of this you have in your hand, I guess make sure that you've done 110% of that, not even 100%, so that when you do get that opportunity, you don't mess up on your end. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks. And yeah, just one a quick reminder to the audience we have here, as you guys have heard about what Adam and Tanay do, so please start shooting your questions. And while I talk to Sarah, you guys are free to interact with them. And yeah, coming to Sarah, thank you so much for being patient and getting to the academia side of stuff now. Exciting. I'm sure it's exciting for many students. So my first question for you is like, what drew you to your current PhD project, and how did you choose your research topic and lab at MSK? I think many students back in India are not familiar that we have a lab rotation system here in the US where you can rotate, find your fit, and then select the lab. So if you just want to shed light on how your entire experience was.
Yeah, of course. So I think my experience has entailed sort of different directions and different research fields before I finally settled down on developing cancer therapeutics. Initially, in my undergraduate, I was studying neuroscience and was interested in opioid-related addictions. And that was just the first lab that I joined. And I stayed there for a few years. And I really loved it. But then COVID came around and I was basically had limited time that I could actually go into labs. So I ended up finding opportunities outside the lab, and that's when I joined Hygeia Biological Laboratories, which gave me an industry position where I did an internship for about a year and a half. And there I learned how to do cancer research. And so I was developing cancer vaccines, and I really loved it. And it was totally different from anything that I had done in my previous lab, of course, in terms of experiments. But you still apply those kinds of skills that you develop in a laboratory, like the critical thinking. And learning how to troubleshoot and optimize experiments, especially was really important for the work that I did in that laboratory setting. So yeah, I basically took the opportunity that came my way at the time and ended up exploring something and really enjoyed it. And so I ended up pursuing cancer immunotherapeutics and stayed in industry for a couple more years and really enjoyed my time in industry. And I really wanted to stay. It was actually very hard to come back into graduate school because I was making money and I had a normal job and I had hours that were very, like I said, structured, and the company culture was great. So it was really hard to come back into graduate school. But I thought it was important because I sort of understood that if I wanted to do industry and come back into a similar role, and something I'd already experienced when I was in industry, is that there is this like glass ceiling, right? There's a barrier for certain positions that I wanted to pursue, and that basically required a PhD. And so I could stay in industry for 20 years to get the same kind of experience as somebody that or get the same kind of position that somebody like coming right out of a PhD could basically like enter into. And so there's a huge barrier there that I was facing, and I just understood that it was the next step for me to pursue what I wanted. And so yeah, so that kind of threw me into like cancer therapeutics, and then I ended up applying to graduate school, interested in cancer therapeutics, and applied to a large number of graduate schools and really tried to stay open. The labs that I had participated in basically were all interesting to me. So maybe I just love science and it was more about the process than the actual thing that I was studying. But for me, they all seemed to work out really well, and I was able to really dive into what I was studying. So I applied to a large range of schools, and ended up pursuing MSK because they are the number one cancer research institution in the world. And I was very excited for that opportunity. And so I wanted to come to school here. I'd heard about the institution, and basically, when I got into graduate school, then it was a matter of deciding which laboratory I wanted to join. So that goes into the rotations that Mainav was talking about, where basically in my program, they give you the opportunity to rotate for your first year. So when you're rotating, you're basically just trying out a lab for a couple months to see what it's like and basically work there for a couple months as if you were a graduate student to see if you're a good fit. And so it's less about trying to get data, it's less about trying to develop a hypothesis and more about, do I get along with the people here? How do I feel every day coming in here? Do I work well with the mentorship style? Do they micromanage or not? Um, and so that was also really important and maybe just as important as a science for me that I was doing. And I really wanted to make sure that I had a mentor that I knew would take care of me and make sure that I graduated and had my back and knew how to mentor students and had done so in the past. I think my mentors, I looked into his background. He's mentored 80 students before me. So I figured, okay, this guy's knows what he's doing. And that was honestly very important, if not, had the same level of importance as the exact field. And so I rotated in several different laboratories. But I ultimately decided the exact field that I would go into based on the cultural fit and the relationship that I would have with the people around me, which really shapes, the kinds of experience that I would have every day. And, some people sacrifice that, but you have to remember that you're there for 5 years. So it really can change the kind of life that you're living. And a lot of times you're putting in more than 40 hours a week. So it really becomes a large part of your life. But that being said, so I fell into cancer research because I had previous experience in that area. And I do think that's important. And it's important for graduate schools if you're applying, right? Because they want to know that you're able to pursue that field. And so it kind of helps to have some amount of experience in that area that you're applying. But also if you are interested in other fields, it's very, academia is kind of loose in the way that you can easily get experience and volunteer, right? So if you have the time to go in 5 hours, 10 hours a week to just sit in a lab or shadow somebody, let's say you meet up with someone for coffee and you're interested in that particular field and you say, hey, can I come in on Monday from 10 to 3 and just watch whatever you're doing? And so that also gives you a lot of experience and lets you see not only what that laboratory is like, but what that field is like and the kinds of experiments. And also, but there's a lot to learn outside of just being in the laboratory, right? So if you go on to PubMed or various other biomedical research databases, then you can basically, learn and do your own kind of side work, right? You can read papers and see if the field is interesting to you, see if the problems that they're trying to solve excite you. When I'm reading the literature, I actually get excited and I'm like, wow, this is something I want to pursue and I really want to do this experiment. Can I do it tonight? Can I do it tomorrow? And I really get excited. And I think that's a really important for that drive and motivation that comes with doing a PhD, investing so many years and having that commitment. So definitely try to find something that you're interested in. And I would recommend getting experience in the field if you are curious in other fields to try and get experience not only by volunteering, but meeting up with people through coffee or also just reading the literature as well. And who knows, maybe you have specific directions that you'd like to pursue, or maybe you're a little bit more like me in the way that you just enjoy doing science in that kind of creative, rational process that demands that kind of like critical thinking. So it's important to self-reflect and see what interests you because maybe the standard advice of pursuing something that you've been doing for 5 years and the expectation that you have to continue on and do that for another 5 years doesn't necessarily apply to you. So I think that was a kind of roundabout answer. So let me know. I hope I answered the question.
No, that was a great answer. Actually, it gives an entire idea about how the PhD life is. And yeah, I mean, that's a great point for my next question is like, since the last couple of years, there has been lots of discussion about funding in STEM and biomedical research. So as if there's a student who is like interested in pursuing a PhD, how can he navigate, let's say, like not only the funding pressures, because that's more to it's the PI's headache, but let's say exams, or does he or she has to write a grant And overall, how do you navigate all those stuff if you can shed some light on it briefly? Yeah.
Yeah, briefly. It's a weird time. So I am hoping this is not permanent and this is a temporary state that uh, kind of academic research is in. And but that being said, it has shifted and changed, I think, a lot of the experiences that PhD students can go through. For example, I'm not only applying to the first grant that my program requires me to apply to, but I've actually been applying to grants throughout my entire PhD. So I'm always looking for the next cycle. I'm always looking for the next grant that I could submit. And it does take up a bit of my time. And I gotta say, I don't think I'm the best writer. So it's challenging, but I do find that I'm, getting more experience and practice. But given that, that said, the fact that it's so hard to get funding nowadays, it's important to find a PI and a professor that will support you. Make sure that they have funding before you enter the lab, and when you meet with them, make sure that they actually have that in mind, and not only are they do they have space in their lab, but do they have funding for you for 5 years is really important. And looking at the school, how many years do they give you? Are you basically provided funding throughout your PhD or not? And also, if you're an undergraduate or post-baccalaureate, you can also apply for funding on your own, right? So there are some students that came into my program that had already received scholarships and were doing fellowships. Or under fellowships that really made a statement not only for their resume, but also to my PI, because they were basically covered for about 2 years. And so that made it really easy for them to not only get into the graduate school, but also kind of enabled and supported them to enter the laboratory that they're interested in as well. So long story short, it's important to get experience with applying for grants. It's a strange time, and gives you a lot of practice. And you will be applying to grants and learning how to write scientifically, which is an important skill.
Great, thanks. And yeah, I have one last question for you. So this is about this is a two-part question kind of. So that one thing is about motivation. How do you stay motivated during your PhD? And also that segues to the point that many students are early in their careers are unsure about their PhD. So what questions they should be asking themselves and how they can come up to a decision point.
Yeah. So to answer the first question about motivation, I think motivation can fluctuate on the day to day, right? There's some days I wake up and I'm maybe a little sick and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to go to lab. I don't want to do this experiment that takes 5 hours and I, have to get an extra coffee or something like that to kind of keep myself and give myself enough energy. And there are other days where I've read the literature and I'm super excited to come in. So it fluctuates. And I think it's okay to give yourself some patience and understanding to know that yeah, if it's for that long of a duration, there are going to be, certain times when you're more or less motivated. But I think it's also really important to be kind of in touch with yourself and what's going on. And if you aren't motivated, is there something else that could assist you? And for me, creating more structure really helped me be able to come in and consistently and be able to perform my experiments and create those timelines and meet those timelines. So I preferred to have more structure, and I think that kept me motivated. I also started arranging more meetings with my professor and my collaborators where I would have to present data. And so we would discuss, okay, hey, this is what the data looks like. And so in a month from now, what kind of data would it be helpful to have? And so getting the data by that point was very motivating. So creating structure for me helped basically have that motivation. But also understanding that it might change in the day to day. And your second question was, what was your second question?
It was about that students who are unsure about doing a PhD or not, what questions they should ask themselves to get that clarity.
Yeah, I recommend trying to get as much experience as you can. Internships can be hard to come by. Sometimes, it's a 6-month, year-long requirement. If you can't do that, ask people to grab a coffee and message them on LinkedIn. Say, hey, can we meet? Hey, can we exchange emails? People in different fields or in the PhD program to learn about what that's like. And if you're still unsure about if you want to do a PhD after having experience and grabbing a coffee, it's totally okay to come to a point when you're like, I'm not really sure. And maybe there are specific programs, look into the programs that can specifically align with what you're interested in. But if not, then it's okay to not do a PhD. You know, it's not for everybody. And there can be some pressure to kind of stay and continue your education and get the next degree. But it's a commitment. And guess you can make so much more money if you don't decide to initially just pursue, more schooling. So it's okay if it's not for you as well.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. I think we can open the panel up for questions if someone has any, if someone wants to go ahead and unmute themselves. And then I have one question, which would be like a great take-home message for the students, and then we can wrap it up. So I already see people are interacting in the chat box, so that's great. But if anyone wants to speak up, you can. Or I have a great question as well for everyone. Yeah, okay, I can go ahead with the question. So my question is like from everything that you have seen, and this is the question for all the three of you, what areas in like biotech or life sciences do you see as the most exciting ones and fast growing in today's day and age? So if students can really look into those areas as something that they want to pursue. Adam, if you want to shed some light.
Oh, okay. So uh, I think the most exciting thing is the is really the entrepreneurship of biotech. Just because I get excited when PIs, postdocs start their own biotech company, whether either to develop it to launch like a Moderna, or they are launching it and developing it to the next milestone so they could be bought and everything. This is where the exciting things happens. They're not restricted by a big pharma that tells them what to do. And it's kind of like a blend of academia and commercial. And that's where I find it very exciting, and that's where I always get excited speaking to these people in the forefront of research.
Tanay, what do you think?
Yes, I think that what Adam said definitely sounds very exciting. But and just to add more to it, I think this whole AI bio space, of personally speaking, I think is of interest to me, because like everyone knows, it takes like so many billions and billions of dollars, like right, $2.5 billion in 10-12 years to bring a drug from the clinic onto the market. So I think where people can sort of harness AI to sort of speed that process up, I think is of particular interest, and I would want to see how that sort of flows and trickles down in the next few years. But I think that's just a drug aspect of it, right? At the end of it, what do these drugs do? They cure people of their diseases or ailments, whatever it may be. So I think the other end of it, I am following, and I think is very exciting, is how AI is also supporting patient outcomes, because that's when a drug is actually useful, when it helps save someone's lives, or it helps give a cancer patients, right, 3 more months on their diagnosis. So I think that the convergence between AI and patient outcomes, I think that's of very keen interest.
Awesome, thanks. And well, one last open question would be like, and this one is for students who feel like overwhelmed with all the career paths we have discussed with academia, sales, startups, finance. So what would be your advice? Like, what can they do in, let's say, the next 6-12 months, how they can optimize themselves, what they can do to search more about these career pathways? We can start with you, Sarah.
I think if you're still interested in exploring different pathways, there are always ways to get more experience and you're already here today, basically finding these opportunities to connect with people and attending panels. And I think that proactiveness and finding ways to answer your questions is really important. So just continuing on and uh, with that kind of nature to ask questions, reach out, connect. And, we all have our LinkedIn here posted. So we're always available to chat. And I think connecting with people and learning those shared experiences, like the kind of things that you can't really get online through reading about it in an application, right? So continuing to do what you are doing by attending these kinds of talks today is what I would recommend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts for the students, Adam?
Yeah, so putting my sales hat on, I always think of outbound and inbound sales. So, as I said before in the beginning of this session, we are all salespeople. We are trying to sell ourselves. We're trying to sell our solutions, sell our and sell our perspectives and everything. So in the chat, we were always talking about reaching out to people, going to networking, and connecting with people. So that's the outbound. However, what people do miss is the inbound. So what I would suggest to all of the people out there is to polish your LinkedIn profile, polish up your online presence, because people will, in this age of information, people will look you up. Um, and you want to have your profile be your best digital foot forward. Also, if you don't like posting, commenting is really the best way. If you put a thoughtful comment to a scientific paper that was posted, I think people will start engaging with you, and that's where the inbound comes. You're getting to be seen more as a subject matter expert who has some thoughts. So those are the things. Don't forget, we're always reaching out in person or digitally, but we also need to have some inbound to attract people to you, to see you as a subject matter expert and a leader in your own right without a title, a needed title.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I think we had some great discussions today. Feel free to connect with us, Biotech XYZ, follow us, and feel free to also connect with our panelists if you have more questions about the career fields, and feel free to ask them the questions you have. I think everyone has posted their LinkedIns. We have our Biotech XYZ stuff as well. And yeah, and also I'm more than willing to help if anyone who's attending today needs help with connecting with someone. So please feel free to reach out. And yeah, I hope everyone had something to learn from today's event. And thank you so much who was able to attend today. And Anushka, do you have anything to finish up?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Thank you, Sarah, Tanay, and Adam, for being here and helping the students out. We had really good discussions, and thank you so much for each of you for your advice. Please follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram to stay updated with events of the such kind. And yeah, looking forward to connecting with you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mainav, and thank you, Anushka, for having us. Very engaging conversation.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope
Thanks for the opportunity.
everyone had a good time. Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you,
too.
you too.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.